Welcome to the Cult Rejects. Tonight we're joined by Sanre Daffort, the voice behind the Order of Chaos. And that is a podcast and a teaching platform built around spirituality, metaphysics, the occult, and the paranormal. This is through his Occult University. He teaches live courses in magic and witchcraft, tarot, necromancy, and practical ritual work, always with an emphasis on stripping away dogma and getting to something direct, disciplined, and usable. Now that work is moving forward into book form with Chaos Witchcraft, announced on his site as forthcoming Wiser book, release on October 2026, and is a system that he describes as blending chaos magic, quantum physics, classical occult tradition, and disciplined ritual practice, with practical work in sigils, servitors, divination, psychic hygiene, trance, and probability shifting ritual. So tonight, we're getting into modern occult practice, chaos, reality, ritual technology, and what it means to try to build a serious magical system for the present day. But before we introduce the rest of the panel and the guests, I do have a few announcements to let people know if you're interested, and it'd probably help if you're in North Carolina. Saturday, April 25th, 2026, I will be at the Southeastern Masonic Symposium, and that will be in Asheville. That will be at the Asheville Masonic Temple, which is on 80 Broadway Street in Asheville, North Carolina. I will be there hanging out with some of the speakers there, I would hope. John Michael Greer will be there. Don't know him, but it'd be nice to talk to him. But he will be one of the speakers there. Then we got my boy Colin. He's been on the show, and he is coming back on. We got Colin Conkright from American Esoteric. He will be speaking there as well. And then we got the man himself who's been coming on the show more often. We got Ike Baker. He will be there speaking. And then we got Tom Carter. So, yeah, that will be an all-day thing. And if you can't make it, there is also a Zoom thing if you're interested. But if you can make it, come hang out, come down, and, I'll smoke one with you if you listen to the show. And I also want to remind people that we have a website, occultresearchinstitute.org. If you're into reading, there's a lot of stuff on there, and we do have t-shirts available. We have 2 different types, and if you're interested, you can check it out on that site under the merch tab. Yeah, $25 shipped. That's with shipping. That's pretty cheap. It's not one of those sites that makes the shit and sends it to you and charge you $30 for a shirt, $15 for shipping, $25 total, and I send it to you. So yeah, if you're interested, check it out. And now back to the guests and the rest of the panel. Judith the Loon, what is going on? How are you?
Hi, thank you for having me again. It's always a pleasure. I look forward to this discussion. And you could catch me on YouTube and on X as The Loon, and catch my weekly brunch every Sunday.
Awesome. Thank you very much for making it tonight. I'm looking forward to this. And we got my man himself, the Headless Giant. How are you, sir?
How you doing? You can find me on X and on YouTube. Look up the Headless Giant, and I'm also on Instagram, so check those out. We've got some more remote viewing coming up this Thursday, so check that out as well. Nick's taking over with the sites that we're going to be remote viewing, so it's going to be really interesting.
Yes, I actually took 2 pictures today, so yeah, I got 3 so far. I need to grab 2 more by tomorrow. Nice, definitely looking forward to that, man. That was fun. And we got my man Ethan Indigo. What is going on, sir? How are you? Thank you very much for making it.
Awesome to be here. I got to get in on that remote viewing. That sounds really fun. I missed the last one. Ethan Indigo Smith, easy to find on all the social media, and writing and observing. And peace, Sanre. Glad to be here with you.
Yeah, like you said, I'm Sanre Daffort. Find me on YouTube and on Instagram. Or you could go to theorderofchaosmagic.com. I run the Occult University. I live stream on YouTube Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Mountain Time.
Oh, nice.
I'm trying to increase my Instagram presence. I've been very lazy about it.
Yo, social media is a pain in the fucking ass sometimes.
It's not fun. I fucking hate doing it.
I'm like, I don't even promote shows on social media. I'm horrible at it. But I guess we'll get into it like every guest that comes on here for the Occult. Pretty much ask what first, for the people listening and for the first time that they know who you are, I guess give people a little bit of an idea of who is Sanre Daffort and what pulled you into the occult.
Yeah, so I was raised to be like very, very devoutly atheistic.
Oh wow.
Dad hated anything. So my dad had like a beef though. Like he had a grudge with the church, and for good reason. Okay.
Okay.
But he passed away when I was 12, and that was really hard on everybody. And a friend of mine kind of talked me into going to church to try and help me feel better, which I appreciated. And then and I actually I didn't mind it at all until until I kind of worked up the courage to. I think I was 13 at this point. Also, worked up the courage to kind of like talk to the guy, the person leading it, and kind of ask like, so my dad thought all this was a bunch of horse shit. Does that pretty much mean he's going to hell? And the dude pretty much said, right? Unfortunately, yeah, that's what it means. And so, in my mind, I broke his nose, but I think what I actually did was like just shoved him away and ran the fuck out of there. And
in my mind, I caved his head in.
Yeah, I mean, I was a kid, you know what I mean? So I remember I went on a bus, and like this is the point because like when my dad died, my mom pretty much checked out. She handed me a bus pass and was like, "You're on your own." And, so I took the bus to downtown Santa Cruz. I was going to go skateboarding with my friends, and I was walking past the bookstore, and I shit you not, like I felt like something reached out and grabbed me and yanked me into the bookstore because I didn't go in bookstores. I was 13. I wanted to go skateboard, something yanked me into that bookstore and like right to the metaphysics section, which is a word I had never heard before. I had no idea what it meant, and directed me right to a copy of the Satanic Bible by Anton LaVey. And was, here you go. There's your answer. And I bought it, and I started just working from the Satanic Bible. And I did magic pretty much exclusively from the Satanic Bible for about a decade after that. And
that's interesting.
Anything else?
It's interesting that you're saying that because I don't know much about it. So there's ritual work in that book. I've actually never looked at it.
Very simple, but yeah, it's honestly so like there are some things in that book that I would be like, I point this out, and I have my students read it, and I'll say like, what do you agree with, what do you disagree with?
Mm-hmm.
Things that you disagree with in the book for sure, in my opinion. But I think if you are serious about magic, you should read it. It's a really, really, really good book. No BS explanations of how it all works.
I remember before I like hugely got into the occult, there was somebody I knew who was a Freemason, and he was pretty high up there. And he had said like the same thing. He's like, regardless if it's something that you're into or you're practicing, you should probably read about it and at least understand it and see what you don't like and what you do like, what you disagree with, what you don't disagree with. Because he was saying his daughter was in the Eastern Star. I think like they were kind of like getting into certain shit that she wasn't into. And he's like, but you have to know everything. He's like, so I totally agree with what you're saying, at least to a point. That's pretty cool. That just, what did you like enough
for me because it was an atheistic system of magic. I'm like, this is great. This is exactly what I need. Now, to be fair, I'm not an atheist. Right? I'm not anymore. I was, but I'm not anymore. But at the time, it was exactly what I needed.
That's cool. Nice. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate the backstory. What experiences kind of shaped the path that eventually became like the Order of Chaos? Like, how did you get to where you are now? Like, I'm sure there's probably different things, but simplest.
So there's a ton of experiences where I was very desperate. And I needed something, and I think everyone kind of goes through a phase of magic where they only use it if they absolutely fucking have to. And that's kind of where I was at. Not for any reason other than like I didn't know what else to do with it. Right. So there was a few times when there's this synchronicities, things that would happen. They're like, okay, this works. I can't explain it any other way than to say that this works. So if it works, then I should probably get really good at it. And if I'm gonna get really good at it, I should probably, talk about it a lot, and maybe I'll make a website and write a book. Shit like that,
And then here we are.
Yeah. When I was. Here's the part 2, right? Here's the sequel to that story that is very relevant. When I was 34, so like not even 10 years ago, it's like 8 years ago, I started studying sacred geometry.
Oh, nice.
I was I got out this compass. I got it right here, like one of these guys, like a simple fucking compass. And I was drawing the flower of life pattern, and I was not on drugs. I was drawing the flower of life pattern, and all of a sudden I got like warped to another dimension and had a very confrontational experience with an angel, which is exactly what was described in the Flower of Life book, and it freaked me the fuck out. But like I've not been an atheist since then.
So that changed you, huh?
Yeah, that was weird. And then I started having a much more spiritual practice, and then got really into that, and then I really quickly realized how batshit crazy a lot of people who kind of go down that path go, right? So because like I don't, my brain doesn't hold on to fantasy. I have a really hard time reading fiction, for example. And so much of what is down that path, because the sacred geometry stuff like kind of leads to the new age stuff, and the new age stuff where a lot of the insanity is.
Oh, I even mentioned that I covered sacred geometry recently on the show, and I mentioned that.
But the actual sacred geometry shit is amazing. If you just
it's amazing on its own. You don't have to fucking fantasize, make it all crazy.
So I realized real quick that like a lot, like this is fun, but I'm not gonna just believe in a mythology. I want a real answer. So that's when I started reading about physics. I read The Elegant Universe by Brian Greene, which is an amazing book. I was interested in string theory, and kind of formulated my own ideas about what could be going on here. And I kind of settled on, okay, so spirits are real. They're just inhabiting a higher dimension. And I don't think that's much of a fucking stretch, right? It's like string theory tells us there's 11 dimensions of reality. Okay, so every religion, almost every religion that's ever existed says that we exist between these higher and lower dimensions. Cool. We have a model of physics that says the same thing.
That would work real well with the Kabbalah, the 11 Sephiroth.
Well, M theory is basically Kabbalah. They just, changed the name a little bit. And
that's true for so much of this shit. You find out that there's scientific explanations for so much of what you find in spirituality. They just call it something different. They don't want you to know.
I love it. Yeah, no, I'm huge on the science and magic. I think there's a huge connection, man.
Because if we're gonna take it seriously, let's take it seriously. It's gonna be mythology and fantasy, then just admit that you're LARPing.
That's the thing. I do think there is some science out there, as much as people may not want to care about academia or science, but there is enough of it out there to actually explain shit instead of having to make up woo-woo shit.
But it's a pain in the ass, right? Like not one of my students I recommend I stopped recommending it a while ago, but I used to recommend to all my students that they read Elegant Universe, and no one's ever going to do it. They want to read about Hecate and Thoth. They don't want to read the physics shit. I like the physics shit. I like reading textbooks. I'm weird.
Isn't that the difference between contemplating sacred geometry and actually constructing sacred geometry? Like these two things are different parts. Again, that's really what it comes down to with magic too, is constructing versus thinking about it. Those are the two different fields that I think people get confused a lot.
Yeah, well, it's like you can be doing or thinking. Yeah, so and I think you got to do both. You got to think about it a lot, and you got to do it a lot. You got to have experiences. If you don't have the experiences, you're not going to have anything to base to solidify your knowledge into reality. And if you just read every book and never do any magic, like, oh my God, you could have just been watching cartoons that whole time. It would have been so much more fun.
Did anybody have any questions before I started going on more?
Sanre, did you grow up in Santa Cruz?
Yeah.
Cool. I thought he might ask about that.
That's a dope town. And for those that don't know, of course, that's where the Lost Boys was proverbially set. Not entirely, but basically, and super. I don't want to say occult town, but a lot of spirituality there. I'm a proud Cabrillo dropout.
Hell yeah! Right? Me too.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great. Cool. I mean, I can't afford to live there, but it's a great place.
Yeah. And I bet, I could totally see the bookstore calling you like that. I think that has happened a lot in Santa Cruz. I wonder if
the Logos bookstore that's on the end of Pacific Avenue. I don't know if it's still there. I haven't been home in so long.
I can't picture it right now. It's been a while for me too. Well, I was wondering. Now
that I think about it, was Logos.
Oh wow,
interesting.
I was wondering if you've ever heard anything about the Santa Cruz, Sacramento, and Santa Rosa Rosicrucian triangle kind of mysticism or rumor anyway.
So I mean, at that point in my life, like I left home not too long after that, and pretty much never went back.
Mhm.
So yeah, no, I haven't heard about that, and I didn't get into like I said, I was not researching occultism at all. I had one book that I worked out of for 10 years with doing, and I did zero other interest. Like I had no other interest in magic. I did read one book on like voodoo, I think, or something, and I was like, I'll just stick with the Satanic Bible.
And I apologize for the tangential question, gentlemen. I just thought
You're good.
cool that you're in that you grew up in Santa Cruz. It's awesome.
It's a cool place.
Yeah.
Hey, Liz,
Yeah,
you wanted to ask?
Yeah, there's something about the Satanic Bible where it's demystifying itself, right?
Yeah.
Where it's not actually, they say all of it is this glamour, right? You're supposed to be emulating the glamour. And what I find too is that, the emulation of the glamour is really what, kind of scares people. It's all about glamour. So, from that perspective, like, how has that changed your perspective on chaos magic, which is sort of like, well, it's all about belief, and it's not really, the glamour comes secondary to the belief, and you can use that belief to hack things.
Well, so like, okay, I get what you're saying about glamour, but I don't think the word glamour actually appears once in the Satanic Bible. But it's he talks about aesthetic, right? So one of like the satanic sins is having no aesthetic, which I something I kind of agree with because I wear a lot of jewelry. But so Anton LaVey's point of view was almost identical to the chaos magic point of view, and to be fair, he came out with it first. That this is all psychological, right? But LaVey seemed to believe in psychic ability more so as influence, which I thoroughly agree with. I don't believe in telekinesis. I think that's fucking nonsense, personally. So it was a very practical system of magic. My favorite part of the Satanic Bible was he was writing, if a Satanist, I'm gonna get this like wrong, but basically what he says is, if a Satanist wants to make something levitate, they'll use strings and trick everybody and then laugh at them. But if you want to, like and then this is the next line, which I think is brilliant. He said you could exercise the same amount of psychic energy that it would take to levitate a ping pong ball. You could use to implant an idea in a human being halfway around the world.
Right.
I get that. I kind of agree with a lot of that, I think.
It's about conservation of mass and energy. That seems to be his sort of focus in that book is, what are you actually doing versus what are you trying to accomplish?
Yeah, so he believes in psychic influence, which I think is, when we talk about magic and what it's for and what it can do and all this stuff, I think a lot of people are chasing spiritual experiences like they're chasing a high. And I think that magic should be about achieving your goals.
Right. I mean, anybody could stick their fingers into a light socket, but does that make you some sort of a mage or whatever? I mean, that's sort of what goes along with a lot of the people that I've seen who have had legitimate psychic experiences. Basically, it's rewiring the brain in such a way that comes through a lot of horrible sort of circumstances. So
could be, yeah, maybe. I'm not sure. I think that. So my whole thing is I want people to realize that they have a lot more agency and a lot more power than they're told they do.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
If you just buy into society at face value, you have no chance of ever achieving anything or being anybody or getting out of debt or any of that shit. And like, it's not true. It's entirely not true. Like, I'm a nobody from a little town in California. I left home when I was a kid. I did whatever the fuck I wanted to. I was a construction worker. I never made much money. And then I decided to take this shit seriously, and I got a book deal like a year later. Like, you can achieve any goal you have if it's kind of like the way Crowley put it with will, right? Like, if you are determined and you use your mind correctly, which I would say involves eliminating doubt. Like, you have to have an almost borderline arrogance about the success of your own magic if you really want it to work. You can't hope that it works. Hope is useless. Like I tell all my students, I want them to be utterly hopeless. You have to know it's going to work. And if you know it's going to work, then it works.
Can I ask? That's a really cool idea about the aesthetics being integral in the practice. In regard, well, the reason I'm thinking about it as being so profound is in regards to Tai Chi practice. The essential thing put forth is that when the aesthetics of your posture is quality, that leads to quality chi flow and higher potential. And so this idea of aesthetics is really important, I think, beyond just the physical stuff in Tai Chi, but even more the mental, if you will. So sorry for the long-winded question, but
great. So I think that with LeVay and and I agree. So what I think about aesthetics is that if you all these little things we do. Okay, so all of magic ritual, for example, is there to have an effect on your psyche. I feel weird if I'm not wearing a necklace, if I'm not wearing rings, if I'm not wearing my ear. I wear a lot of jewelry, and all that jewelry that I wear, they are talismans, whether you know it or not. Right? They make you feel a certain way about yourself. Just like I mean, come on, like why do people put on makeup and wear clothes that they like and all this stuff? But there's a way in which, like, one of the first signs of a mental decline in a person is that they stop doing these things. They're going to wear sweatpants every day, and they're not going to take good care of themselves, and they're going to stop showering, and it's a sign of depression. Right, so it's a way to combat that. Also, is to really give a shit about your appearance, and I know that I'm not like dressed fancy or anything, but little things. I feel, like I said, I feel really weird if I'm not wearing my rings. I feel strange without my necklace. These things
does a $200 pair of polo sweatpants count?
I mean, and if sweatpants and t-shirts every day makes you feel great about yourself, then that's what you should do, right?
I was just wondering because I do wear a lot of sweats, but I do have an expensive pair. I'm trying to make myself feel better. I was like, fuck. I used to take a shower. I do shower, so I guess I still got it.
Yeah, same idea, right? And like I would never go as far as if you read, there's another book, not by Anton LaVey, but by a member of the church, came out, called The Satanic Warlock, and they go through the whole, that's a book of glamour magic. That's what that really is. And I would, I'm not, I'll be a t-shirt and jeans guy my whole life, but t-shirt and jeans and my rings and things like that make me happy. So
nice.
Yeah.
One thing I did want to ask you about the show kind of is what made you pick the name? And what does that mean to you?
Pick it. That
the
was
Order of Chaos.
Gifted to me by Thoth.
Oh, okay. All right. There you go.
I was bullied into doing this, to be fair. For a way. So I had a goal. Like what I wanted was to write a book. And I wanted to write a book because my father passed away rather suddenly, right? Like I remember we were at dinner and like we went to our favorite family restaurant, and my parents were like, so we have to tell you something, your dad has cancer, right? And he was gone like 2 weeks later. And so it happened very suddenly, and there was no goodbye, there was no anything, right? So I've been thinking to myself for the last 30 years, well, not the last 30 years, the last 10 years, because my son is 10 years old. So for the last 10 years, I've been thinking, how do I leave my son something? What if I get hit by a bus? What is he going to have to know that, that I was thinking about him? And so that was the idea, is I'll write a book about magic, and it'll leave him not only with a ritual in the book to talk to me, because I talk to my dad. I talk to my dad through tarot cards, so he'll know how to do that because it's written in a book and it's published. It's not self-published. It's not like just a PDF. He can go to the store and buy it. No one can ever take it away from him. If he loses a copy, he can go get another one. Right. So that was the goal. That was my big. I never wanted to do YouTube. Never. But my spirit guides, and at the time I was working pretty exclusively with Thoth, was pretty much bullying me, saying like, you have to do YouTube, you have to do YouTube, you have to do YouTube. And I was like, I don't want to do YouTube. I was like, you have to do YouTube. And so finally I did YouTube. And as soon as I started doing YouTube, Weiser emailed me and they asked if I wanted to interview some other authors. I said, fuck yeah, of course I do.
Nice.
And then, I started talking to Pete Carroll, and then Pete invited me to, do an essay in This Is Chaos. And then they liked my essay, so asked me to write a book.
Very nice.
That's the interesting thing about synchronicity and about magic is that it doesn't always happen the way you expect it to or want it to. You get, if you ask for divine inspiration and you get it, you have to act on it. Otherwise,
Right.
it's worth it.
Yeah, the muses are very insistent. It's the idea that inspiration comes with a cost. And I think that's what a lot of people miss out on is they want all the free ideas and to pick and choose, but that's not always how you get to where they're leading you,
No, and the path of least resistance, like, don't get me wrong, I like Taoism, but the path of least resistance is not always the path, not to achieve your goals, right? Sometimes you got to do shit you don't want to do. Sometimes you got to do things that are hard. Sometimes you have to be like relentlessly persistent, even when you want to give up. That's what makes it work.
Putting the work in. I like it. All right. So now we're going to go into a little bit, I guess, kind of like your system and stuff. You teach magic as something practical and disciplined rather than vigorous. Rather than vague. What pushed you in that direction?
I need to know how things work.
Well, yeah, okay.
I have to. I can't. I'm not a person that can have faith. I even write in my book about having rational faith because that's something that took me a long time to develop. But I, used to be like kind of a control freak kind of person, and I'm not anymore, thankfully. But I need to understand how things work or I don't trust it. And so, for example, right, like if you buy a car and you have absolutely no idea how an engine works, you're not going to be the same owner of that car that someone who really understands that stuff would be. Your car is not going to last as long, so you're not going to know. So, that's a silly example, but I can't explain like the existential dread I was going through, understanding that when I do these certain things and light candles and shit, then all of a sudden I get whatever I want. Okay, great. I have to understand how this works. And for years, I was like banging my head against the wall trying to figure it out. And then it all just kind of clicked one day. And I started writing it down.
Well, that sort of brings up the witchcraft angle, right? So, a lot of times the chaos is about sort of taking something that is in chaos and bringing it into order, kind of like a reversal of your podcast name. And you're doing the opposite. You're saying this is all an ordered path. This is all sort of like this conscious order.
I don't believe in luck and I don't believe in coincidence. I believe that things happen because you make them happen or someone else is making them happen. And then I think a lot of things happen because the collective makes them happen, right? So I say we live in a psychosymbolic reality, right? It is, I believe in panpsychism, which is just the modern term for animism, right? It's a consciousness first point of view about reality. None of this is real. We know it's not real. You learn in second grade that everything's made out of atoms that are made out of nothing. Right? So, like, physicality is an illusion.
Yeah.
Right. So, I just tried to map that out, and to be fair, a tremendous amount of what I know, what I believe, or what I think was given to me by spirit. A tremendous amount of it. Like I'm not a mathematician. I'm not a physicist. I understand like the concepts of quantum physics, but I'm not going to do the formulas. Hell no, I can't do that. Right. But I can understand it conceptually and say, okay, so one of these makes sense and one doesn't. Which is how I feel about Copenhagen versus Many Worlds. Then I read a book by, I love this so much because it's so funny to me. There's a book called Synchronicity, and the guy who wrote it, this is his real name, is Dr. Kirby Surprise.
Surprise.
So I read his book, and he's talking about many worlds and string theory, and I was like, okay, this is the model that I think is correct, right? But what I think is funny is that he's a clinical psychiatrist and he's a real doctor. So he spends the first 10 pages of his book making sure that you understand that he is not talking about magic. This is not, and then there's 300 pages about magic after that. But the problem is that, like, if you got a PhD, you can't say certain things or you're going to lose everything. You'll lose your job, you'll lose your tenure, you'll lose all of it. Right. So I highly recommend everyone read the book Synchronicity, but read between the lines for the first few pages.
Right. Well, another SoCal native that went on to actually have a degree in magic was one of these guys I met named Isaac Bonowitz. And so he wrote this book, Real Magic, where he's mapping out the associations. So how do these symbolic associations really start to manifest as changes in the reality that you inhabit?
Okay, so from my point of view, each of us live in our own universe. Those universes are constantly interlocking and interacting with each other. But the entire universe in which you exist, in which you perceive to exist, is a creation of your mind. That's a fact, right? So different symbols are going to affect people differently. Now, the way I would say that there's three or so layers of correspondences. There's your personal correspondences, which is like your lucky rabbit's foot kind of thing, right? It's lucky to you. Then there's cultural correspondences, right, which are ingrained in you from the culture that you live in. And then there's kind of universal correspondences, which are, as Carl Jung would put it, like in the collective unconscious, right? And cultural correspondences are what we're primarily dealing with in the realm of witchcraft. But I've read so many books of magic, for example, and this is why I think personal correspondences are important. That'll say, well, the color green is associated with money. Sure, if you live in America, but I live in Canada and our money is pink. So like, why, it changes the correspondence for you, right? But gold is a pretty universal correspondence for money, for wealth, right? So we have different layers of correspondences, but all of these things, you would light a candle and you make a sigil and you say some shit out loud, and it has an effect on your psyche. And then what I think is going on, and people can get mad at me for saying this because I've had so many people kind of like point out to me that what I'm about to say is a massive oversimplification, and it is. Don't get me wrong, not a neuroscientist, but to massively oversimplify, you have two brain hemispheres that do different things.
Yeah.
Your right brain hemisphere is essentially subconscious, and your left brain hemisphere, at least a portion of it, is where your conscious mind is. Well, your right brain hemisphere, the subconscious, is vastly more powerful than the conscious thinking mind, right? So the conscious thinking mind has to give instructions to the subconscious. And if you can do that successfully, then the subconscious mind executes this idea like it's a computer program, right? So this is what a sigil magic is. Basically, you're writing a program for your subconscious, and then you just insert it like you're putting a floppy disk into a computer, and you hit execute, right? And that's it. That's what magic is. That's one layer of what it is.
Right. So the subjective experiences, let's say that's 50 to 75% of our experience. The outside world has a huge impact, but that's after the fact. As we're experiencing it in current reality, like that's the 50 to 75% are what you already have in your mind. So having that executable relay system is far more important when it comes to anything. All thoughts precede actions. So
totally, yeah. And to say, like, when I say your reality is a reflection of your belief system, like, no duh. But some people don't think about it that way. But it's so plainly obvious. So everybody knows somebody who is perpetually negative about everything because they experience perpetual negative events. But they, in their mind, well, I'm a negative person because I experience negative events. When in reality, you experience perpetual negative events because that's what you expect. And that's all you talk about. And all you think about is how much everything sucks. Well, then, no duh, everything sucks. But if you can, and it's hard to fix that. I had to fix it for myself. Like I said, I lost my dad when I was 12, and my mom immediately started drinking. Like, I had a lot of shit to turn around in my mind. And it took me until I was, 30 years old to even begin to do it. I was deeply depressed and angry in my 20s. And guess what I experienced? A reality that was deeply depressed and angry, right? And then I decided I didn't want to do that anymore. This isn't fun. I'd rather not do this. And so I tried really hard to fix my perspective. And lo and behold, as soon as I did, my life got a lot more enjoyable.
Oh, nice.
Right? And if that's all magic is, then that's still the most valuable thing in the fucking world.
Enjoy your life more.
Yeah. Right.
You need to not hate getting up every day and living your life, right? Like I used to really, there was a time when I had worked so hard to get somewhere in my career, and I had finally gotten somewhere, and I was making like $1 more an hour than everyone else. And I got up every day and I thought, this is hell. I hate this so much. I don't want to do it. I'd rather do anything else. I used to be on my way walking to work in San Francisco. And I thought, man, if I just got hit by a car, but like just a little bit, I could spend the day in the hospital on fucking drugs. That'd be amazing.
And possibly a lawsuit.
But like you can't, if that's your reality, then what I want more than anything, to be serious for a moment. Sorry, no one should ever take me seriously, by the way. But to be serious for a moment, I thought, well, fuck, if this stuff stopped me and helped me from experiencing that every day, then I want to proliferate this as hard and fast as I can, because I hate that other people are living that way.
If you could turn it into
Thanks
a
for sharing that. I wonder. Please.
Sorry about that. If you could turn that into a 3-step process of how to turn around your perceptive abilities, how would you sort of mark that out?
First, you have to have the realization that your perception creates your reality. I think that as soon as you realize that, if you realize like, oh, I'm doing this, then you'll stop doing it because you don't want to live that way. Right. And that's not true for everybody, because, for example, I don't have like a lot of diagnosable mental health disorders except for ADHD, and I'm probably autistic. I don't fucking know, but I wouldn't doubt it. But I do have ADHD for sure. And no, I'm diagnosed with like major depression also, but I haven't felt depressed in a solid decade because of this stuff. Right. So I would say that not everyone can do this easily, which is why I'm here to help people do it. It's why I do what I do. Right. But yeah, you have to have the realization that you are to a degree responsible for everything that happens in your life. You're not responsible, and this pisses me off because some people will talk about this. You're not responsible if like you get attacked. It's not your fucking fault. Like, I hate that perspective so much, right? That literally every event in your life is something that you manifested. That's horseshit. I did not manifest my father dying when I was 12. Fuck that, right? But a lot of your reality you do manifest through your choices and your decisions.
Of course.
Right? A lot of it. So if you really stop having the shitty attitude that I had, where I woke up every day and thought about how unlucky I am and how everything sucks and then blah, 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 blah. Like you realize, okay, I'm doing this to myself. I have to stop it or I'm going to just hate my life. So start there. And then the next step, and this is something I would teach too. Like if someone comes to me and they're going through the same thing, I would say, great, don't say anything that is unnecessarily negative out loud for 1 year. If you can do that for 1 year, you won't think those things anymore. If you stop saying them out loud, you will stop thinking them, because speech is directly tied to how you think. Then I would say, okay, next step is when you do have thoughts like that, stop, take a breath, like center yourself and say, what is the exact opposite of this intensely negative thought that I said? So let's say you have the thought, I suck, I'm unworthy. Okay, stop, take a breath. What's the exact opposite of that? Life is wonderful and I deserve everything I want. Cool. Do that for a year now.
You don't totally
right. And like I would say that's magic. But then, you don't have to do any magic. You can do all those things without any magic whatsoever. But now, if you want to, you could throw in some astrology and some sigil magic, light some fucking candles, and have fun with it, and it'll work a lot faster and a lot better.
Right.
I really like that that explanation there with telling yourself, you tell yourself something like that for a year, guarantee your life will be completely different.
Yep. And
nice.
Most of the time, like the vast majority of the time, it won't even take a year. I tell people, but it could happen in 2 months. You could have a different life.
I was going to say after 90 days, you could be convinced it's working.
Totally.
Yeah. That's really cool. I do like that. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. I'm lagging, so I appreciate you guys dealing with that. I wanted to thank you for that, and also as you're describing that process, I was thinking of if you could elaborate on the idea of panpsychism, all these psychic influences that we might get. And I thought of a new word that it's yours and or I's and everyone's, influence. because we're getting all these influences, and we have to shake off all these things to really get into our true self, right? That we need some, as you just described so eloquently, to influence.
Bro, you should
ourselves.
trademark that shit like right now. Like hop off this call and go.
It's
go
ours. It's ours. It's both.
Title.
It's everything.
Well, I mean, that's sort of what you find with ritual magic is they're always talking about cleansing. That's been a huge part of any sort of ritual for thousands and thousands of years, is the cleansing process that I think a lot of people just take for granted because they don't see how their actions influence their thoughts and their thoughts influence their actions.
No, I mean, and it's so plainly obvious, but I went 30 years of my life or 20 something years of my life without thinking about it one single time. I just thought about how everything sucks. I think that's a very common experience. I'm sure it is.
Might you elaborate some way on just like the different panpsychism influences that, I mean, we all get mediation from different media sources or whatever, but I don't know. Might you just elaborate on that idea? I think everyone gets it, but it's just I'm just curious.
Yeah, so there's different iterations of panpsychism also, right? So the one that really, because I hate this, I feel like materialists can turn anything into materialism. So there's a materialist idea of panpsychism to say that the atom contains consciousness. Somehow individual atoms are conscious. I'm all for that, but the atom doesn't fucking create consciousness. An atom is nothing. It's 99.9% empty space, right? So to me, the idealist sort of vision of panpsychism is that consciousness is the fundamental substance from which all matter arises. It is the first thing that that we live in a psychic reality, that is to say that physicality in its entirety, including every atom, is just a product of the mind, right? When I say the mind, you could get into like Hermetic philosophy now, or like Hermetic philosophy from the Kabbalion, you should say, that the all is mind, or like what is the universe? It's a dream that a frog is having. I don't fucking know. It's like thoughts and beliefs and consciousness, that shit that is non-physical comes first. And everything that we perceive as being physical is a product of that. Which leaves room for all kinds of things that are not physical. It's like it makes ghosts and spirits and all that fun stuff like completely reasonable. And also the cool thing is it makes the earth realm, the earth, the place we live, into a sacred place, which I think is really, really important, because in the world denying Abrahamic religions, or especially in Gnosticism, it's like, well, the earth is bad, and so when we die, we'll go to some better place. Fuck that. Like the show is here and now. It's here. I hate that idea that, well, nothing that happens here matters because we're going somewhere else after. Bitch, you're coming back here to do it again, right? So I like this idea, not only because it makes sense to me scientifically, but also I believe in reincarnation, because I think if everyone understood that you're coming back here, you have a vested interest in making it a better place.
Right. And, if you think about it from a two-story model where there's only one way up and down the stairs into this sort of spiritual realm, then there has to be a mediator. But we know better than thinking that everything in our life is a mediated experience. So the two-story model of spirituality has got to go. It's just,
yeah, I agree. Like I said earlier, I do believe in higher dimensions of consciousness, and that there are things inhabiting those dimensions. There are, like Michio Kaku, there are physicists out there talking about dark matter life forms. And I'm like, just say ghost. Just say the word ghost. Stop trying to cover it up with fancy physics terms. But I don't know. I mean, I get it. I like that stuff too. I've just reached a point where I want to be able to say to people with confidence, yes, this shit is real, and it's not some deep occult secret. Like, you can just go to your local library and learn all of this, and it actually all makes perfect sense, and you can put it into simple terms, and it can completely and totally change your life, and you should definitely do that.
Right. The Jacob's ladder is everywhere. It's not just in one place,
Yeah. And I did this, like I put the last video I put on YouTube was a bit of a rant. I got angry at a creator named Georgina Rose
But do you cosplay?
for the ridiculous sort of critique of chaos magic.
Yeah, I want to ask your opinion on that, actually.
Yeah, so I mean, the thing that I think, like, I have my disagreements with Pete Carroll. Like I said, I believe in a different model of physics, but I think that the thing that chaos magic did that the rest of the occult community is really mad about is that they made it very clear that anyone can do this, and it's actually very easy, and it actually makes a lot of sense. And it doesn't have, you don't have to spend 30 years in some Masonic lodge to like learn the ultimate secret. The ultimate secret of reality is that your reality is a reflection of your belief system. That's it. That's done deal. Just work with that.
Right.
I can see that.
Well, I mean, we're the mediators between our perceptions and the world around us. So making those choices now is the best way to have a better future.
Yeah. And then, I understand that maybe sometimes I sound cynical about this stuff, but to be fair, like, I love lighting candles. I love it. I love doing spiritual work. But I get upset at the idea that some people think that it's the candle that's actually doing the thing. It's not it's not the candle that's doing anything. It's you. You're doing it. You're amazing. You are a fucking miracle. Like, you are the force that shapes everything in your reality. Candles are just a way to mirror something back to yourself to have an effect, right? To speak to your own subconscious and tell it what you want it to do, because your subconscious mind, right brain hemisphere doesn't. Your speech center is over here. This side doesn't do language, so you have to talk to it in other ways, with symbols and feelings and music and colors. That's where all the correspondences come in, and also that stuff is what makes it fun, right? Because magic should be fun. It should be a fun thing you do. Like, you should, like, I've got like my little accoutrement and shit that make it feel fun. I think that's very important, but that's not what's really doing the work.
It's interesting you mentioned the candle. Not to keep bringing it up, but I just do think I have that might be somewhat of a case in my theory, at least for some people. That even with the herbs, I've been doing an herb series, and the way that it affects your nervous system, I think it's quite easily that you're going to burn that shit and think your magic spell worked, and it was just the fucking chemicals you inhaled. It was the oil you put on your skin. It's the shit you ate.
Totally.
Yeah, I mean, I had to get all sciencey about it again, but it was pretty impressive to see like how that shit affects you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so like, why does lavender like help people sleep?
It's gonna lower your shit.
Yeah, it just. I actually don't know the explanation for that, but like so here's the easy one. Why does weed get you high? Because it interacts with your chemistry.
Yeah,
and that is also magic. I mean, I really like there's like a meme that says every thought is a prayer, every word is a spell. That's dead on accurate. Everyone's doing magic all day, every day. But people who do it on purpose get better results.
Right? Yeah, I think it would be if people really looked at stuff that was kind of like a spell or ritualistic. I think they'd be surprised how much they actually incorporated into their own life. I'm blowing out fucking birthday candles, man.
Yeah, all that stuff. The one thing that I'd say magic for me, but also it's not a bad thing, is that when I realized that one of the most absolutely powerful methods of doing magic that there is music. And then I realized, oh shit, like literally every song ever written is a kind of spell, whether it's intentional or not. And I immediately stopped listening to a lot of the music that I grew up listening to because it's very, very angry. And I'm like, I wonder why I was such an angry kid. Don't get me wrong, I still love those bands, but I'm careful about what I allow to influence me.
Right. Just singing like, yeah.
I think a lot of people think that the chemical gateways to different forms of consciousness have to be super powerful and mind altering, when that's not the case at all. I mean, how we meditate on different emotions and all the rest of this stuff, those are gateways too into different realms of consciousness. It's not just the most powerful thing that changes this stuff.
No, it doesn't take a lot. So, for example, The Monroe Institute and
Oh,
their
yeah.
Hemisync. That shit is incredibly powerful. So
Yeah,
I
agree.
took that concept and I make guided ritual experiences, right? So I have one that's a 33-day long ritual to Hecate that you can purchase on my website for $10. And it's got theta wave binaural beats in the background. It's a guided meditation that guides you through an astral projection experience where you'll have an interaction with Hecate. It's incredible. I've had incredible success with it. My students have had incredible success with it. No drugs needed. It's just sound waves, because you can enter altered states of consciousness by will, through sound, through chemicals, through breathing. There's all kinds of different techniques that people have figured out. You can do it through humming, which is when monks are sitting there going, "Oh, what are they doing?" They're vibrating their fucking pineal gland. That's what they're doing. They're trying to do.
No, I've wondered about that actually. That's funny that you said that, because I have wondered about that. If certain sounds actually do that.
Yeah, they absolutely do. So they're oming to reach transcendental states of consciousness, 100%. But you can also just do it with headphones. So
There you go. I like it. Yo, that's pretty impressive, man. I have to check that out actually.
But to be fair, potions are fun. Potions are cool. You make weed brownies, you're making potions. That's what you're doing, right? And
It's very chemical too.
Some potions that are much more powerful. You could make psilocybin tea, right? That's the last time I did. I mean, it's been the last psilocybin experience I had was so powerful. It was like 3 years ago now, and I still haven't finished processing it, so I haven't done it again, right? Or like ayahuasca, that's a fucking magical potion right there. So potions are real, right? But they're chemical. So like potions are chemical. Ritual is a non-chemical way of getting into the same place.
Exactly. That's what I think. Yeah.
It's interesting, these magical tools, if you will, from the candle to a chemical and beyond, or, the classic kind of conception of a voodoo doll. The remote viewers will sometimes use a piece of paper in their hand, not necessarily the one that's in the envelope, but will use some sort of object as a kind of tactile transmission, if you will, of to get a message of what's going on, and they'll associate the remote viewing time and place by way of feeling and sensation rather than observation alone. So it's interesting, even when we're psychic or near psychic, we're very tactile beings.
Yeah, and you can use anything to kind of create that bridge of association to what it is, right? Remote viewing is fascinating. I've had a bunch of my students. I was so blown away with the current group of students that I have in my apprenticeship group. A couple weeks ago, I was like, okay, we're going to do some remote viewing and we're going to do target practice. So I'm going to write a number on the page and I'm going to leave it here on my desk. And tomorrow I want you to all tell me what number it is. Like 5 out of 6 of them got it.
Oh, that's cool.
So cool. I was so impressed. I'm not taking credit for that. Like they're just an incredibly psychic group of people.
Can I ask what the number was?
It was 77.
Oh, a double digit. That's impressive.
76. The rest of them got it.
Oh, that's
double digit. That's tough. Yeah.
Right. We're trying to experiment with AI and remote viewing using fast Fourier transforms, because we saw some videos about that. But basically, people are thinking that it's the AI that's doing the remote viewing instead of the nature of the universe itself. So like people automatically associate the tools with the result and not, the nature of the entire place. And so it's sort of like a stumbling block. But I had a question about the Emerald Tablet, not the Emerald Tablet of Thoth the Atlantean, but the Emerald Tablet, Tabula Smaragdina. How long have you studied it, and are you still learning and gleaning information from those simple words?
I've read it like 3 times total, and no, I'm one of the people. I'm a huge fan of the Kabbalion, and I know that there are people who are like, Kabbalion is not real, and I'm like, just shut the fuck up. Like it's
a book. I mean,
honestly, like, and then so Justin Sledge, who like has the most like Esoteric is one of my favorite YouTube channels, but he did an expose on this a couple months ago where, like, guys, as it turns out, Hermes didn't write all. No shit. Like, come on. Like, it's like we knew this about all these ancient texts. They were written by multiple people who kind of took on a pseudonym. Like, how many people wrote the Bible? So many people, right? And so the idea that these ancient texts are like the one true word of blah blah blah, I think that these are ideas that persist throughout time and space because they're ideas that are potent and powerful. The Kabbalion. So here's another funny one. Okay, here's a quote that is often attributed to Albert Einstein that he absolutely did not say. And the quote goes like this: "If you can't explain something to a 7-year-old, you probably don't understand it yourself." I don't give a shit if Albert Einstein said that or not. It's true and it's powerful. The Kabbalion takes thousands of pages of Hermetic philosophy and shrinks it down to like 5 pages that are incredible, right? And even the book behind me, the Kabbalion, half of it you don't even need to read. You should, but the actual just Hermetic principles fit on 1 page. And so that is what I've spent years and years and years pondering is the 7 Hermetic principles as presented in the Kabbalion. The ideas that are on the Emerald Tablet are essentially the same ideas, as above, so below, for example, which is one of the first lines in the Emerald Tablet, I think is one of the most powerful ideas in the fucking universe. And it explains way more than people think it does because you can apply it to almost anything. And if you use the 7 Hermetic principles and you treat them like formulas and take and kind of rearrange them, you can resolve almost any philosophical problem. It's amazing. It's an incredible tool. So yeah, I love the Kabbalion. Those to me, like, what really, if I was gonna say like what are the foundations of my magical practice, it's the Kabbalion and Levian Satanism and a good chunk of chaos magic as envisioned by Pete Carroll. Just squish them into a ball, and that's what I do.
Very nice. Does anybody have any questions before I start asking more?
Go for it.
All right. We're gonna get into your book a little bit. Maybe you answered this earlier. I don't know. It could have been one of your guides. But your upcoming book, what made you do it now?
They offered me a book deal.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I did the essay in This Is Chaos, and then I got an email from Mike, who's my rep at Wiser, and said, "Hey, I really liked your essay. Would you like to write a book?" And I said, "Of course I would. Yes, please. Let's do that." Because that was the goal all along. Like, it was always, I knew I did not want to self-publish, and that was because of this idea of I want my son to be able to walk into a bookstore when he's 30 years old and I've been dead for a long ass time and buy that book because he lost his old copy. I want to make sure it's always there. So that's why I had a goal of getting with either Llewellyn or Wiser, and I actually was only Wiser because Llewellyn's just not my jam. But like they're just kind of like more in like in the witchy direction, and I'm kind of like the science witchy guy.
I get it.
I was really happy to be with Wiser, and when I got that email, it was like honestly one of the most exciting. I remember like just like shoving it in my girlfriend's face, like I didn't have words. I was like, just read it.
No, I would have probably asked Wiser before Llewellyn if I had a choice.
I think Llewellyn does. They put out amazing books, but they're
yeah. No, but I just think Wiser would be a wider audience for me.
Totally.
That's all I'm getting at. No, Llewellyn's. I mean, it's fucking they're OGs. And they send me good guests too. So
yeah.
Another one. You describe it as a synthesis of chaos magic, quantum physics, classical occult tradition, and disciplined ritual practice.
Yeah.
How did these 4 currents come together in your own work? I mean, you might have answered.
They're just like what I think about what's necessary to have a really effective magic practice. That's what's required, right? So to me, there has to be the understanding of how it works. That's the quantum physics stuff. You have to do magic. You cannot just be an armchair magician. I mean, you can, but like I do not understand the point. Personally, I just think it's like why don't you just do some of this stuff and see what happens, right? Fuck around and find out. Like that's what makes this great. So, disciplined practice is experimentation, right? And it's important to journal about it too, because people do not realize how forgetful they are, right? So journaling is important. Engaging in ritual on a regular basis is important. I think you should do magic for absolutely everything. Like, what the opposite of that idea I had when I was much younger. Like, I'll only do magic when I absolutely need to. Now I'll do magic for literally everything, because it always helps. Why not just throw it on top, right? It helps. It pushes the odds in your favor. So, discipline, practice, ritual is important, because there's another idea out there that bothers me, and it's not untrue. You can do magic with just your mind, with nothing else. You don't need to make sigils. You don't need to do anything. But that shit is like adding jetpacks to your magic. When you do light the candle, make the sigil, perform the ritual, it makes it so much faster and easier and more streamlined, right? And some people are very resistant to that, and I think that's a shame. I think that one of the prerequisites to being good at magic is that you stop feeling silly about it, stop judging yourself, just have fun with it. So I think ritual is incredible. Like, you got to, light the candle, draw a pentagram in chalk on a concrete floor. It's fun. Just have fun with it. It makes it far more effective. And what was the last thing?
Well, basically, it's just how you like tie that all together.
Yeah, I just think those are the necessary elements to get the results that you really want and to get them as fast as possible.
Right. I think a lot of crafty people don't realize that sensory homunculus inside of their brain along that sensory strip is being exercised and strengthened by using their hands. And also that goes into creating the effects that they want. So, they're doing magic and they just don't know how good at it they are.
Yeah. This is one of the things that LaVey put in the Satanic Bible that I think is so brilliant, and why, like, if you had to ask me, like, who's a bigger influence, LaVey or Pete Carroll, I'm going to go with LaVey, because he writes about the importance of psychodrama. Right? You need that. Like, LaVey was all about it. He's like, you should have a ritual chamber with no curved spaces, and everything should be like, a particular aesthetic, because that aesthetic shit like really speaks to your subconscious mind. If you put on a robe and light candles and put on like the music from Halo, the Gregorian chanting, and like it really feels magical, then you're gonna generate much more powerful effects.
Great.
Okay. I think in your book you talk about reshaping reality through will, clarity, and conscious action. What is will to you in the magical sense?
Okay, so will is akin to dharma. It's what you're here to do. And this is where I'm going to talk about. So whenever I talk about my personal beliefs, I want to say, like, I'm not an authority. I hate guru culture, because I can't stand anyone who talks about spiritual matters as if they know for sure. You don't fucking know. You are, just stop pretending. Like, it's okay to have ideas that you can't justify or verify, they just believe in. But I believe that you can look at your astrological chart, and basically through your north node, along with your in Pythagorean numerology, your life path and destiny numbers, kind of find a trajectory for your life that is akin to, let's say, your true will. And it's been remarkably true for people who've come to me, and a lot of my clients will come to me saying, I don't understand the purpose or meaning of my life, and I will try to help them find that. And oftentimes we do it through astrology. And it should be, by the way, it should be uncomfortable, right? You're not here to just like have an easy time. So I would say, like, but regardless of the astrology, let's say you just decide this is the thing that I know I want to do with my life. Okay, cool. Don't be a chicken shit about it. Like, I will, if people come to me and say, I know this thing I want to do, but I don't know how to do it, I'm just going to like be the most relentless cheerleader for that person and get them to do it, because that's what we're all here to do. We're all here to do something that is life affirming and fun and will yield results that are meaningful to us. But I do not believe in any kind of like meaning of life. You have to decide that for yourself. You have to decide what the meaning of your life is and then pursue it relentlessly.
I like that.
One of my favorite
question. Will is how much force can you generate towards that goal? And it's way more than a lot of people think it is, because like I get it. There were so many times that I wanted to give up. I wanted to give up 2 days ago, and then you just get over it and you get back to work. Because giving up never gets anybody anywhere. I think that you should pursue meaning with everything you've got, and because otherwise, what are we doing here? So yeah, will is the amount of psychic force you can generate towards your own goals, and I think that if people had the right coaching, they could generate tremendous force that they're unaware of. They just need someone to believe in them, and then eventually believe in themselves. Like, that's what I needed. For me, I didn't have anyone. I never had a teacher or a mentor or anything. I just had books, and I did it on my own. And I want to fast track that process for people because it took me a decade. It took me about 10 years to really say I no longer experience like depression, anxiety, and all these terrible things on a day. Like, I still experience them once in a while, but it's not the overwhelming tone of my reality anymore. Not even close.
That's great.
I was going to make a silly joke about a great magician and great teacher who said, try not, do or do not. There is no try.
You guys do not want to start, guys. Like, I could do a whole Star Wars podcast. I fucking love Star Wars.
I like that.
My tarot students, like, nobody gets annoyed, but I laugh at it because the way I teach the major arcana is I just talk about Star Wars for 3 hours.
You include did you include the witch's trance and sigils and servitors and thought forms and stuff in your
Yep.
in your...
And the witch's trance is basically like, this is the most basic meditation you can get into, but I think that there's something really powerful that I've been doing for a long time, and I think most people do this as children anyways, right? So there's your pineal gland. It's like basically dead center in your skull. Now, I know you don't have any physical feeling in your head, but let's pretend that you do for a second. Like, a lot of meditations will tell you to like circulate air in your skull. What do you mean? There's no feeling there. But okay, let's just pretend. Focus all of your attention on that pineal gland and imagine it as a door that opens, right? And you're going to be in another dimension before you know it. And I remember so distinctly, like, constantly doing this as a child and just daydreaming and being like lost in other dimensions. And then it got scary and I stopped doing it. And I think that that's a really common experience people have, is that we're kids and we're doing a bunch of astral projection, just like, naturally. And we run into something scary and we shut it the fuck down and we stop doing it. So it's kind of like just remembering getting back to it. So the witch's trance is a guided meditation to get you back to that place where you can open that door in your mind and experience alternate realities and other dimensions and really like reopen those pathways. Because I believe, society tells us that magic isn't real and all that stuff. But the experience I had as a kid was having these astral experiences that were so cool and so much fun. And then I ran into something that scared me and I never wanted to do it again. And I really believe that's probably a very common experience. Because my kid has had like really scary dreams and been like, I don't want to go to sleep anymore because now I'm afraid that I'm going to have bad dreams. And so I taught him, kind of some methods that he could use to have better dreams. And that's been working out for him. So it's just like teaching this stuff to adults also. Because your mind has this incredible ability to filter out what it doesn't like.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, that's why we got so many fucking idiots in the world, is that they filter out intelligent information.
Oh, no, I get it. Yeah, you actually completely ignore facts just because of your feelings.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we got a lot of going on last probably decade. It's just gotten worse in the last 4 years. I did want to ask, anybody have any other questions?
Well, I was going to ask about the importance of having like a holy language. I know a lot of witchcraft books talk about creating spells in a separate language because it stimulates those parts of the brain that maybe we're not using with the normal language. What are your thoughts on having a holy language?
I've never tried it. I think the whole light language thing is remarkably silly. And that's fine. I think it's fine as long as you understand that it's silly. I don't know. I've tried my whole life to just even be like the most basic level of bilingual, and I failed at it. I spoke Spanish when I was a kid, but I completely lost it after my dad died. And I sure sounds like fun. I don't know. One thing I did in my book is not a spoken language, but I created an entire sigil alphabet, which I think is powerful in a similar way, but it's not the same way. I don't think there's anything wrong with using English to do magic, right? Like, I mean, well, for example, like the word abracadabra, I think is incredibly powerful. It's, abracadabra. I create as I speak, right? It's Aramaic, but I'm not going to go learn Aramaic. I'll tell you what, though. Then this is very interesting. This is something that's been a mystery to me for many years. Is that I was deep into meditation close to probably 5-6 years ago, and I was kind of given a prayer or a mantra or something that I believe to be in Sumerian. I have no fucking idea what it is. I'm still trying to figure that out. So there's definitely something to it. I think language is incredibly powerful, but I am very lazy, and I'm probably not going to invent another language.
Oh, it's a big task to take on. Let me see. I got another one here. When you talk about ritual altering probability in the world, do you mean that literally, symbolically, both?
Literally. So what magic does is it nudges probability in your favor. So let's say you're applying for a job and there's another guy there who is just as qualified as you and wants the same amount of money and all that, right? If it's 50-50, great, do magic. Now it's 60-40 in your favor. And again, that percentage of even if it's 2 to 3% can radically change your life. If you shift the odds of everything in your life in your favor by 2 to 3%, it's a difference of night and day.
Oh, I get that. Now I know, like you do. Go ahead.
So to say we live in a psychic universe, right? So again, to get back to your question about will, also, when you focus your thoughts into something very coherent, you focus your thoughts like a laser beam and you aim them in a direction and you say, this is going to happen no matter what. You're exerting psychic force. Everything that happens in our reality happens due to psychic force. Everything. So this includes like inventions of very mundane things. Someone had an idea and then they decided, I'm going to go get whatever parts are necessary to invent the telephone. Okay, cool. That was psychic force. You had an idea and you...
Oh, what happened?
I think you're muted. His mic was muted. Problems.
You're muted out, dude. Oh, damn. Yeah, he's not gonna.
No, it should hear you.
Yeah.
Somehow got muted somewhere.
You're getting
fucking see. This is the astrology in real, right? Yeah. So I mean, I think that basically psychic force is what determines what happens in this world. So if you can make yourself into a potent director of psychic force or not. Those are your options. And if you don't do it, then you are going to be pushed around by the psychic force of everyone around you. Some people are very naturally psychically forceful. They just have a very strong will. Some people are just naturally gifted at it, and some people are naturally I think of myself as being very much like had a very weak will that I had to develop into something very powerful. Because when I was a kid, I was just like, whatever happens, happens. I guess whatever happens to me is what happens to me. And now, I'm very much like I've learned what I focus on is what ends up happening. So I want to develop that to the furthest extent that I can. Because now you realize that, okay, now we're in a world of 8 billion people all exerting psychic force. I want the psychic force I exert to be more powerful than everyone else so that I, can live a life that makes me happy. And, there are people out there who have been doing this their whole lives who are incredible at it. And there are people who are gifted at it. And there are people who are doing it in groups. There's some very dark shit happening with some of the elites in the world, but it's all psychic force.
Yes, exactly. I was even going to say earlier, I think you were saying something. I mean, just look how much From knowing the right words or the right things to say. Look how much fucking politicians get away with.
Yeah, absolutely. It's psychic force. It's
Speech.
you know that's what you call like lesser magic, I guess was what they used to call it, or low magic, and it's like neuro-linguistic programming and
Yes.
being charming, being effective in the way that you speak, right? Being very articulate, for example, is an incredible psychic force. If you mumble, if you don't know the right words for things you're trying to say, no one's going to understand you. And no one understands you, you've exerted very little psychic force. If you can be very articulate and clear and you can speak with confidence and you can, even with your voice, right? Like you could talk like this and like no one's going to fucking take you seriously. Talk like this. People will actually listen to you. You know?
Yeah. No, I get it, man. I get that. You had mentioned some, it's in your book. You do kind of go over like a bunch of different things like sigils, servitors, thought forms, divination, stuff like that. What do you think is like maybe one or two, if you can get, you can give me more if you want, but maybe at least one or two of those things that you think is misunderstood, and that's why you wrote about it.
Sure. Yeah. So I think that mythology is deeply misunderstood, right? So for example, people are going to get instantly triggered for me saying this, and that's fine. It's hilarious. But physics is mythology, because all mythology is an attempt to explain what's going on here in words, right? So our ancestors did the best they could to explain natural phenomenon. Like, well, why is there lightning? Thor. That's why. Now we use different words to explain lightning, but it's a mythology. But mythology creates a bridge between you and the natural world. Right? It creates an ability for you to interact with it.
I literally just used I don't know how you, I was going to ask you this. I'll ask you this and I'll go into something like, I don't know how you look at it, but like, I don't believe these gods are real. And I think like what you're saying, like I was legit even just used, I was talking to somebody on the phone and said, you had a god for lightning, but now we know scientifically how the hell that shit happens. I says, that's all this is people trying to create archetypes to explain shit going on they don't understand.
Yeah. So I think that the gods are just as real as everything else, which is to say that nothing's real. So they're useful archetypes. But
like that's even like a question I was asking this person. I'm not even trying to sound like an asshole, but like, where's Thor now? Do you want to tell me where the fuck he is? Like, if this thing is real, where does he chill? Where's he at? How does he get? Like, explain all this to me. Can you please explain this to me? No, there is no answer because it's not real.
I don't know. I would say that
I'm sorry, I don't buy it. There's this actual figure of somewhere like waiting to come here and do something.
Not in the way that it's described by. Okay, so okay. If let's not use lightning.
I mean, if Marvel comic books didn't exist, would we believe half this shit?
Okay, so Thor is a difficult one, but let's
pick somebody else
instead, right? So anger and rage, that's a god.
Well, it's an emotion.
Think about it. Have you ever gotten really mad and done something and then thought, "Fuck, why did I do that?"
Oh yeah.
So why'd you do it?
So I gotta let an emotion. I chose. I made a choice.
Rage isn't a choice. Rage is something that overtakes you.
No, but what you do with it, I think, is.
Barely. It's not a choice you would make in your right mind, right? You get overcome by this rage thing. You call it a god or a demon or whatever.
See, but there's never been a time that I've done something that in a split second in my head, I still knew it wasn't a good choice, but I was like, fuck it, I'm doing it anyway because that's what's going to make me feel good right now.
Okay, but like millions of other people have, and you can recognize that, right? Maybe you're a more contained like person, but there are millions of people out there that have gotten so mad that in the moment they killed someone. Happens every single day.
Oh, those could also be mentally sick.
True, but I mean, then the large portion of the world is mentally sick, which is fine.
I think so.
But these basics. So why is there a god of love and a god of war and a god of jealousy and all these things in every single pagan pantheon? Because they are archetypes that are universal to the human experience. Also,
it's an emotion that can control a person if they allow it.
We all have the same basic emotions, right? So I would say that these things, like whether or not they exist, I don't know. Some of them I think do, but they are not what we describe them as. They're not named.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
not wearing a cape, he doesn't carry a hammer.
That's what I'm getting at. Yeah.
For sure. But is there a thing out there that exists that governs over this portion of reality? Yes. We just call it Thor and then anthropomorphize it because that gives you a way to interact with it. And that's very, very useful.
No, I do think it's influences that we.
Every magic tradition, it's important. You should treat the gods as though they're real. You'll get the best results. And this is where there's a disconnect for a lot of people. And this is a huge part of what I'm trying to write about in my book. Treat them as though they're real while also trying to decipher what they actually are to the best of our ability. They're not what the mythology says, but they are something. There's something out there, right? But then just treat the mythology as a useful tool. And this is what getting back to chaos magic with belief as a tool. If I can't interact with that thing, scientific concept that tells me when lightning strikes, but I can interact with the mythology of it.
Interesting. I just want to know, like, that's I'm not trying to drag. This is just a thought. I'm not trying to drag it out anymore.
No,
I've never heard so many people's experiences when they have like an out of body experience or maybe cross the abyss. They don't have those emotions anymore. So how do you explain that now? You don't have the anxiety, the hate, and the fear. You just feel love from most people's experiences. So now where did all those things go?
I think that
it's actually due to the physical body that we actually feel that stuff.
Absolutely. You're a drug addict. Yeah. You're just getting high on all your own brain chemicals all the time. Right. That's what they are. Like, that's the physical component of it. But then at the same time, like, physicality is a kind of illusion. Right. So
yeah, it was just literally an idea that popped
at
into
that layer of reality, it's just like a fucking circle jerk. But
yeah. But all right, enough to get off of that. But yeah, it was just a thought that just popped in my head. Is it
the last thing I'll say about it? But like Hecate, for example, right? So Hecate is the Greek goddess of magic and witchcraft. If you want to like really learn magic and witchcraft in a magical way, interact with Hecate. Treat her as though she's real, because what you're actually doing is contacting an area of your own subconscious that you otherwise do not have access to, and it will teach you things. But you treat it like it's real to get the best results. And if you're going to treat it like it's real, then you're going to treat it like it's real, and that's fine. You're going to start talking about it as though it's real. But I would say that the thing that I do that's different, maybe, is that in the back of my mind, I know that Hecate is not this triple goddess holding torches, but it's a concept that I am not capable of describing what it is. When I say non-physical organized consciousness, that is me doing my very best to describe it is otherwise undescribable.
I actually totally agree with that. And just another question I have for you, because it's just something I've thought about. Maybe you actually have like a better way to maybe answer this. Now, let's say like some people use Hecate. I was kind of big with Thoth at Tahuti. He's associated with magic as well.
Yeah.
Now, what's the difference? Like, let's say if Hecate, like I am agreeing that it's like something that we're tapping into our brain. Is Hecate and Tahuti in the same area? Or is it, you know what I'm saying? Like different things turning on the same shit.
And the high priestess in tarot, right? So the magician embodies more of the masculine ceremonial magic, whereas Hecate is more of the feminine or the intuitive way of doing magic. You need both. So that's interesting. You mentioned both Thoth and Hecate, because I teach all my students these are the two most accessible spirits that you can get with.
But I used to use Thoth and Hathor.
Okay, yeah, that too.
But that's not Hecate. Oh, you see what I'm saying? Like, is there somewhere in our brain we're still tapping into?
Sure, but that's like that cultural layer of correspondence, right? What's the difference between Zeus and Jupiter?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
But they are culturally different, and that layer of like which one resonates with you more gives you greater access to it.
Yeah, I've even wondered, like, is somehow like even like let's say you're repeating the name in your ritual, does it somehow still like tap into the same area, but you're just using a different sound that you're reverberating in your own head? You know, shit like that I started thinking about.
Yeah, I think so. I think that it really just, I think it's hard to explain why we resonate with some spirits and not others. And some it has to do with shit in our childhood that maybe you don't remember. You know, like I read my son.
The picture that you saw.
Barely remembers, but I used to read him Greek mythology before bed when he was like 5-6 years old. That'll probably affect him later in life, even though he doesn't remember it right now. I mean,
Well, it's interesting to me how somehow we kind of have the reflection of the real even within these pantheons that are sort of made up. So you think about Zeus or Jupiter or these gods of lightning, and what's all the impulses going off in our brain if not lightning? And so these are the heads of the pantheon, and we're full of electricity that's, vibrating out to the different parts of our bodies. So there is sort of like the subjective reality of stuff is kind of reflected in a lot of what we see in these mythologies, maybe with or without them knowing it at the time.
Yeah. So here's another thing, right? And I'm gonna like contradict myself a little bit here, which is fine. I don't think you can like be honest and not ever contradict yourself. So like I talk about physics in the first part of my book because like I said, I need to understand things. This is very important to me. But I cannot interact with a Higgs boson particle. I can interact with an anthropomorphized, mythological figure. It makes because we experience ourselves. Donald Hoffman, was brilliant. He said, you live inside the story that your brain tells itself. Our entire lives are narratives. We create these narratives, and those mythological figures are important key figures within the narrative. You can shape a narrative with characters. You can't shape it with particles, right? So characters are deeply important to our psychology. So we can take natural phenomenon and psychic influence and forces and things like anger, or even things like lightning or water or trees, and turn it into a character. That makes sense to our brain, but the abstract, the particle, the science of it doesn't. That's why people hate math, right? We're not built to understand the world that way. It's tremendously difficult for us, and thank God for scientists and people who are built that way. But most of us are pre-designed, whatever, kind of configured to understand the world through stories. That's how we shape our entire reality. Your entire life is a story, and if you want to change your reality, you can change the story. It works because it's the way your brain understands reality.
The narrative arc, right?
Yeah, totally.
And that's how people are controlled. Is through that.
What's beneath that is also very cool.
Right. Right. Well, every sentence is sort of a narrative arc all of its own, and we can't really communicate without it. And so when you depersonalize it with numbers,
what's left? Totally. Yes, exactly. And maybe what's left is the truth of reality, but if it's entirely unuseful, that's the thing. Quantum physics is only useful to quantum physicists.
People understand that,
right? But stories are useful to everyone.
That is true. That is true. All right. That's one thing I did want to ask you about your book. If there was one thing that you would hope the reader would take away from this book, what would it be?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So if I was like on my deathbed right now and the book was coming out and like I had a bunch of people around me, I was trying to impart one little thing about reality to them. It's that your thoughts, your feelings, and your mind in general shape physical reality. So if you want to change your reality, change your mind. Don't change your opinion. You have to change your mind. Your entire reality is a mirror. You're looking at a mirror. Okay. If you want the mirror to smile, do you wait for the mirror to smile or do you smile first? Right? If you wait for the mirror to smile, you will wait forever. You have to smile first. That's it.
I like it, man. I like it.
But there's a billion ways you can do that more effectively, right? And that's what magic is. Witchcraft and magic are just how do we change our reality the fastest, most efficient way and have fun doing it? Because just willpower alone will not cut it. You can't will yourself out of depression. You can't will yourself out of horrific circumstances. Like you can't will yourself out of having a minimum wage job and trying to like live in San Francisco, which I did for 10 years. Like it's fucking hell, right? You have to change because I was so determined to stay within my particular field. If I had just woken up one day and been like, you know what, I could just get a different job, which I never had that thought because I was on a path that I believed in, right? So I was killing myself trying to do this job that didn't pay enough and live in this city where it was impossible. And that's how I ended up hoping to get hit by a car on my way to work. But if I had just woken up one day and been like, you know what, I'm not going to do that today. Instead, I'm going to learn how to, I'm going to go to welding school. Then I could have changed my life right then and there, but I didn't. Right. So sometimes you just have to like radically change your thought patterns and your trajectory and all of that, and you can have a different life tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I understand that. There's been a few times I've even done that. In some
It's
ways
hard
to show.
It's not natural. It's natural to just stay the course, right? Keep trying, even if it's not working out.
Yeah. No, I like that, man. That was really good. Was there anything else anybody wanted to ask? No. Is there anything you want to talk about with like your school and stuff? You want to mention a little bit of that?
I could plug it, like, yeah, sure. So I run the Order of Chaos Occult University. You can. So for now, my website is www.theorderofchaosmagic.com. Magic is spelled with K, CK. We're probably going to change that to like something like chaoswitchcraft.org soon. But yeah, so I run a school and it's cool. I'm very, very proud of it because it is, you get more out of my program than you will get absolutely fucking anywhere else. So there's a lot of programs out there that are $700 to thousands or thousands of dollars to interact with some author or teacher for a very short period of time. And some people like to do that. I've done it. But if you sign up for my school, it's $35 a month and you can take 3 live courses per week. I think I do 6 lives total per week. You can talk to me anytime about anything. You can DM me. You can, I've got one-on-one sessions available. I've got apprenticeship programs available, but I have a platform that like actually is the Occult University where I have over 100 pre-recorded videos, and they're not just videos. After every video, there's a quiz to make sure you actually learn. Right. And the reason for that is that I want people to retain. I don't want you to sit there and watch 100 hours of stuff and remember nothing and then get your certificate and be on your way. I didn't help you if that's what you did. Right. So I upload videos every week. And we also just have a ton of fun. We've got a Discord community with 100, I think almost 200 people. And the great thing about my school, I think, is that we attract really high quality people who like are really caring and we have very simple rules, and we are rewriting our community agreements as the school grows. But basically it comes down to this: if you can treat everyone there with kindness, dignity, and respect, then you are welcome. We don't care what religion you are, don't care what kind of magic you practice. We're not there to tell you your belief system is wrong. None of that. We're just all there to learn together. And like I said, I switch up the classes. So like right now I'm teaching Tarot Academy, and Necromancy 101 starts this Friday. If you would like to take a class on necromancy and learn how to talk to your ancestors, learn how to talk to the dead, learn how to really become a medium, that class starts this Friday. It's not too late to sign up. And then I'll do other classes. I'm always trying to do something new. Most of my classes are 4 weeks long. You can buy individual courses for $150 each. Again, I try to keep prices like really, really accessible for people. Or if you pay the $35 a month, you get everything. You can come to every single class. You can, have access to everything in the community. And I just try to make sure that I am offering like way more than everyone else, because I think I hate the idea that magic is only for people who can afford it, or that magic is only for like a certain, like Aleister Crowley, for example, was like he had all the money in the world and no job. You shouldn't need to be in that position to learn how to do magic. I want to be able to teach magic to people who like are doing construction work, who are, working 9 to 5 and are busy. Like my school is for you. You can learn magic and be really good at it, and you don't have to, like, all you have to do is treat everyone there with kindness, dignity, and respect. That's it.
I like it, dude. That was really good.
Very cool. I'm very proud of it.
No,
you should. My goal is to eventually, we want to rent a castle and do like actually have like a fucking castle to teach magic in. Like maybe purchase a castle someday and do conventions and stuff there. I think it'd be really cool. But I do want it to be, the goal is for the whole university to become the #1 school of magic and witchcraft on planet Earth.
Good for you. Go for it. Right? Make it happen.
We're also looking for other teachers, because I'm sick of doing it all by myself all the time. So, I want to bring in other teachers, other perspectives. I want to bring in people who disagree with me. Right? That's another thing about our school. I'm not a leader. You do not have to believe anything I say to be welcome there. It's totally cool. You just can't go around telling other people they're wrong either, right? We don't do that. We let everyone have their own beliefs because, again, your reality is a reflection of your belief system. So your beliefs are yours. I'm not there to tell you what to believe. I'm there to teach you what I believe and what I think is true. And if that helps you, then awesome.
Pretty much like the show. You know, I get that totally. I like it very much, man. I really wish you the best of luck with that, dude.
Thank you.
I'm very passionate about it too, which is amazing.
I want people to, like I said, I was deeply depressed in my 20s. I was unhappy. I thought that life was going to be awful forever. And I'm not the kind of person who's going to dip out either. Like I have no ability to self-harm. None whatsoever. So I'm like, I'm stuck here. This fucking sucks. Right. But for real though, like if you're out there and you're watching or listening to this and you are not happy with your life, I would love to help you. Like it can get better.
Yes, it can.
It doesn't take winning the lottery. Speaking of this, one of my students did win the lottery using a ritual that I gave him.
Oh shit!
Sales pitch.
Yeah, I used to teach all my students, don't try to win the lottery with magic. It's a waste of your time. And then one of my students won the lottery using magic, and I can't say that anymore.
Oh shit! That is wild.
There goes my kid.
Yeah, well, right. I mean, it's the right time too. We're just gonna wrap it up. So, as long as we can hear you, it was still good.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh,
Back.
Maybe.
Yeah. I wonder if it was your camera before that was doing that dinging sound. Because it just did it again. Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. Oh, it even changed your view, I think. All right. Well, we're gonna wrap it up now anyway. That was an awesome show, really. I really appreciate it, man. Before we let you plug everything. Of course. I'll have you plug everything again, but first, let me have everybody else mention their show, and then we'll have you wrap it up. Judith, the Loon, what is going on? How are you?
Actually, thank you for having me, and thank you for a very enlightening discussion. I have asked a question about your school, though. Do you give a course on quantum physics at all during?
Yeah, I do a course called Quantum Chaos, and again, I am not a physicist. I do not hold a PhD or anything like that, so it's conceptual. There's no math involved, but I do teach the basic concepts of like here's Copenhagen versus many worlds versus pilot wave theory, which is like kind of like I said, the new one, and it's an exploration. But if you want to take a course on quantum physics from a physicist, I ain't that guy. But if you want to take a course on quantum mysticism, I got you.
Perfect. Thank you.
That's awesome.
You could reach me on YouTube and on X as The Loon, and you can catch my weekly brunch every Sunday.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Judith. Appreciate it. And we got my man, the Headless Giant. What is up, sir?
How you doing? You can find me on Twitter at the Headless Giant, and also on Instagram. And we got another remote viewing show coming up tomorrow. And Ethan Indigo, me and him are doing another trialogue this Sunday morning. So definitely check that out.
Nice. Very good, sir. And Ethan, what is up?
And that was awesome. Thank you so much, Sanre, and everyone. Always great to be here with you guys. And yeah, hopefully Ricardo will be back with us next week too. And Ethan Indigo Smith, easy to find on all the social media. And yeah, appreciate everyone.
Appreciate you, Ethan. And please, sir, let everybody know where they can find all your stuff, Sanre.
Yeah. So I'm on YouTube and Instagram at the Order of Chaos. The new thing that I'm doing that I would love for if you guys want to come check it out, for everyone listening, I live stream on YouTube 11 a.m. Mountain Time, Monday through Friday, and I do free tarot readings, and we have a ton of fun. We do meditation together. The single card readings are free. If you want to get a 3-card reading, you can make a small donation, but it's super fun. And I would live stream for hours a day, but no one knows about it yet. So I got like my 20 people who show up, but I'm trying to build that up because it's fun, right? And I think that there's not enough. I think that it's fun because there's not a lot of people out there bold enough to do live tarot readings. You know, I love doing it. I fucking love it. We do like the daily astrology and numerology and such too.
Oh wow, that's cool as hell.
Yeah, it's lots of fun, and also we do a guided meditation that is very, very, very powerful, and I think everyone should be doing it. But that meditation is also available on my YouTube channel. I'm talking too much, sorry. www.theorderofchaosmagic.com. You can find all of my stuff there. You can book a tarot reading with me. You can join the Occult University. You can come take a class, or you can even book a completely free 15-minute one-on-one call with me just if you want to learn more about the school.
That is great, man. Thank you very much. I really had a great time. Really good discussion. I'd like to get you back on in the future, especially for something.
Yeah, it's fun. Thank you very much, everyone. It was great.
Yeah, that was fun as hell. Yeah, thank you for the chat. There were some really good questions, and there were a couple of comments, really. I think there was a couple of questions, but yeah, there was some really good stuff in there, and that's why we go live. And I appreciate everybody checking it out. And that is the end of another Occult Rejects. Until the next one, everybody be well. Later.